Tracy calls paper clips, and that's stuck in my head now. And we had a great little conversation, Rose and I did, about the paperclip guy. And who remembers him? Say yes if you remember him. I had completely forgotten he existed, which is sad. And rumor has it that he is retired now. He's living in Costa Rica. I think he bought a bar and is serving drinks in coconuts. Yes. Yeah, it's amazing. He's great. He's living my dream. So we're going to talk about three things today, which is a lie. You know, I start out every time saying we're going to talk about three things. We talk about a lot more than that. I love that little guy too. He bounced around on the screen and was so happy to see us. So which is better, Google ads or Facebook ads? A simple strategy for testing an ad campaign that won't break the bank, which is always nice. How to figure out if it's worth the investment to pay for clickable ads. So those are the core things that we're going to talk about. But of course, we're going to wander around a little bit too. Always like to start with an explanation of what we're talking about, because these subjects are all really big and can be overwhelming, even for me. And I've been doing this for years and years and years. And pay-per-click, I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm all about transparency and I'm all about being very honest with you. And I think it's important. I really dislike people in my industry that make all of this seem so simple, because it is not. It is not so simple. And pay-per-click advertising is such a deep thing. And there's so much room for error. And there is so much room for investing money and losing it and getting no return. So I personally, even though I've worked with it for a long time, I manage some very large pay-per-click advertising campaigns. I have a client that spends about $5,000 a month in Google ads, just in Google ads. It doesn't count what they put in Facebook ads, but they get a good return, so we're good. But anyway, I digress. So pay-per-click, or PPC, you're going to see that a lot. PPC is a form of internet marketing that requires advertisers to pay a fee every time their ad is clicked. It's a very popular way for businesses to get better visibility for their business, to get visits to their website, and ultimately what we all want is leads. And this is a way, this PPC or SEO, if you remember, SEO is search engine optimization, where you get your website set up in such a way that you're hoping for a top 10 rank by Google for the work that you've done. So you earn that. We call that organic. So you earn that ranking and you earn that visibility, whereas PPC or pay-per-click, you're paying for it. So the big question that I get, there are two questions that I get a lot. Is it better to use pay-per-click, or is it better to do search engine optimization? So in my opinion, the best approach is a strategic blend of both. And you'll notice that I say in my opinion a lot, because marketing and advertising is a very opinion-based industry. There are some things that you can do that make it statistical. You can measure the results of what you do, but at the end of the day, it's largely opinion-based, you know, what that individual person likes. I prefer SEO. If I'm going to choose one of the two, I prefer SEO. But truly, pay-per-click and SEO combined is probably the very best approach if you're looking for results, especially in the real estate industry, because your industry is so competitive. There are so many of you. You're all jockeying for the same space. You're all, you know, working really hard to kind of kick out your spot in the world. And so it's important that you have a good strategy. Are pay-per-click campaigns worth it? Are they worth the investment? And that is a huge question. And the answer is only if they provide a measurable result, right? I mean, that's a given. And to do that, you have to plan carefully, you have to deploy mindfully, you have to monitor the results consistently, and ultimately cross your fingers, which doesn't really sit well with me. I don't like a cross your fingers approach. I've got a client that talks about, you know, the spray and pray approach. And a lot of people do that in advertising and marketing. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So my question right now to you is, have you ever run a pay-per-click advertising campaign? Um, and I don't want you to say yes if you've only boosted a post in Facebook. Um, okay, Marty tried AdWords. Okay, all right, never, no, okay. So Marty, I would love to talk with you after the class sometime. Maybe we could connect up. I would really love to get to hear about your experience with AdWorks. It's not something that I've tried. Eileen's tried Facebook ads. It's intimidating. It's very intimidating, pay-per-click campaigns. It has been for me in the past. And to be quite honest with you, when I have a campaign that I'm running for a client, it's very stressful because I am always monitoring and watching and fearful of that, you know, cross your fingers kind of situation. I don't like it. I prefer when I work with somebody to be able to tangibly lay out exactly what the results are going to be for what I'm doing. And pay-per-click campaigns, you just can't do that. The client that I mentioned that spends a lot in Google ads and in Facebook ads, they have a couple of different companies, and we ran a campaign in Facebook that in 7 days we pulled 122 leads, which means that 122 people actually gave us their name and phone number and said, call me, which is incredible. And I was so excited about it. And then we ran a similar campaign with the same financial investment for their other company, and we got 7 leads. So there's so many variables that are involved, and that's just something that goes with this territory. So it looks like most of you have not done Google Ads. And if you have tried Facebook, Marty, did you do Google or Facebook or both? Just out of curiosity. Go ahead and pop to the next screen. So Google is not the only, okay. Yeah, Marty, let's talk after. Google's not the only PPC game. So a lot of people, when they think about pay-per-click, they think about Facebook or Google. But there are actually a lot of platforms that you can get in the pay-per-click game with. There's Zillow, of course, there's Instagram, there's Pinterest, there's Nextdoor. How many of you are active in the Nextdoor app? Say yes or no if you are using the Nextdoor app, either personally or professionally. It doesn't really matter to me. Yes or no. Gave it up. Myrna gave it up. Okay, interesting. No, yes, no. So I won't go down the rabbit hole. Danita uses it, but not for real estate. Okay. Won't go down that rabbit hole, but it's an interesting platform. My point here is that it can get kind of overwhelming, but there are so many different places. And I put Space Coast Daily in here. There are actually several local outlets that have pay-per-click opportunities as well. And sometimes, especially in the real estate industry, a local outlet might be more, might give you a better return on investment than the bigger outlets. But even when you talk about search engines, you've got Google, MSN, Bing, you've got Ask, you've got Yahoo. There are several different places to go, and you know, people are all over the place. So you know, the first thing that you have to do when you start looking at a pay-per-click campaign is decide where you want to go with it. It doesn't have to be just Facebook. It doesn't have to be just Google. It can be any number of places, but I would definitely, if you're making an entry into the pay-per-click arena, I would choose one platform and I would run a test campaign there. So that would be my first advice to you. And so probably the question that many of you have right now is, well, how do I choose that platform? What platform should I choose? Well, that depends on who you're targeting and what your desired outcomes are. You know, if you've attended all these classes, we talked about KPIs, which is key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are Do you want phone calls? Do you want to drive people to your website? Do you want people following your Facebook page? What do you want to get out of your pay-per-click campaign? That's where you have to start. Write that down. The number one, the very first thing you do before you run a pay-per-click campaign is figure out what you want the outcome to be. What do you want out of it? That's the first thing you have to do. So, which is better, Google or Facebook? Well, at this point, I believe Facebook is the better platform to be on. So we'll, setting aside all of those tons and tons of different places you can be, absolutely no doubt, Google and Facebook are your two top contenders. So that's what we'll talk about today. In my opinion, with the way things are right now, in the quarantine, and people are moving more and more to interacting on Facebook, so they're there. And as we saw in Tuesday's class, 69% of Americans are on Facebook and are active monthly on Facebook. 69%. It's a pretty darn good percentage. So if you're going to put some money somewhere, I find lower intent. Alex says, I find lower intent from Facebook ads. Expound on that, Alex. You find lower intent. I think I know what you mean, but I'm going to ask you. So I'll keep going. Are you prepared to invest time and money in a trial campaign to identify the best long-term approach? So yes or no? I want you to think about that, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but are you prepared to invest time and money in a trial campaign in order to figure out what the best approach is for you? Because it's going to take both of those. I'm going to give you a strategy that won't include a lot of money, but there is an investment. But your time is going to be the bigger investment when it comes to running a quality pay-per-click campaign. So let me just pop back. Alex, I am really interested in your comment that I find lower intent from Facebook ads. And if you don't want to talk about it here, it's perfectly fine, but I would love for you to email me because I'd really love to hear about it. The old saying, advertiser perish, is absolutely true, Marty. Thank you for that. So don't break the bank. So let's just shoot straight to the point and let's talk about what you can do. And this is especially appropriate for people who are who have not run a campaign previously. And for this purpose, we're going to talk about Facebook ads, not Google ads. So if you're making an entry, I recommend that you do it in Facebook. So Alex, let me step back to Alex for a second. So Alex says buyers for real estate generally have lower intent from Facebook ads than pay-per-click because keyword search generate higher intent leads. So pay-per-click is really, so I assume you're meaning pay-per-click and Google ads. Yeah, we could debate that for a while. I will stick to my opinion that it is all in how you create your plan. Google pay-per-click, yes, and that's a big subject. And we're going to touch on that before I finish. But oh no, I'm not trying to. I don't want to debate either. But in my opinion, it all goes back to the creating the plan and testing it and tweaking it. It's a good point. It's a good point, Alex. It really is. And I'd love to chat with you about it because it's a very good point. There is lower intent from Facebook ads. People are not on Facebook looking for a home, I guess, is at the bottom line. However, in Facebook, in my opinion, an ad campaign in Facebook would need to be more about you and your personal brand. So that goes all the way back to the first class that we held where we talked about branding and how to build your personal brand and finding what you love and what your passion is and creating that persona. A lot of people in my industry call it brand omnipresence, which is kind of a fancy word for what do you stand for? When somebody says, hey, do you know Terry Porter? And and they go, oh yeah, Terry Porter. Yeah, I do know Terry Porter. Amazing real estate agent, so involved in the community. You know, what do people say about you? And so in my opinion, the most successful Facebook ad campaigns are very different than Google ad campaigns, because Facebook ad campaigns should be about sharing who you are, because I want to work with a realtor that meets my that hits the buttons for me, that checks off. I want a realtor that is knowledgeable about my area. And this is me. This isn't everybody. And you are not for everybody. And that's okay. But I want a realtor who's knowledgeable about the area. I want a realtor that is known for having good morals and standards, is probably involved in the community. Volunteerism is a big thing for me. I like it, and I like people who do it. I like people who are passionate about the community. So if I see, and I'm actually, Sherry lost power. Yes, it is being recorded. Yes. I see a lot of realtors that are involved in the community, and I'm actually thinking of buying a home in the next year, probably. So as I'm doing that, because I'm thinking about that, I don't have a realtor lined up. I know several. It's going to be very difficult for me when I do actually make that decision to buy, because I know so many different realtors and I work with a lot of them. So it'll be hard for me to make a decision. But between now and the time I decide to do that, don't you think that I notice what's going on and what realtors are doing? Yes or no? You know, if you've got a potential buyer or seller out there and they're on Facebook, and they're on Facebook on a daily basis, and you're running ads, you know, it's not always a short game. You know, advertising, Marty made a very good point. This is a long game. So you're building who you are. And so if I'm seeing ads that tell me who you are and how you do what you do, when it comes time for me to make that decision to buy or to sell, wouldn't you like to have already planted that seed in me? Now, do you want an immediate lead? Absolutely you do. Absolutely you do. But are you investing in long-term gain too? And that's a question that you need to ask yourself. I told Rose this morning, I pulled the trigger to hire a coach for myself personally, which is kind of an odd thing because I am a coach, and I'm hiring a coach. The person that I hired this week, I have been following and watching for 5 years. I have not met her in person. I've only just spoken to her on the phone the beginning of March. 5 years I've been watching her, and she has been building her brand and who she is in my mind without even knowing it for 5 years. And she's done that through consistent action on Facebook. And I first came across her from an ad that she ran. So, you know, just to drive that point home. So don't break the bank, create a plan. And when you're creating a plan, you have to decide, of course, first what you want your outcome to be. And I highly encourage you to include that long-term plan. Of course you want immediate results. I know that, and I respect that. And I want you to get immediate results also. But also keep in mind that long-term plan, that branding. When you're creating a plan, it's very important that you do keyword research. So we've talked about keyword research before and how important it is. It's a deep subject. You can do a lot of it yourself, but I highly recommend that you go to Fiverr, and it's fiverr.com. Go to Fiverr and find someone there that does keyword research, and reach out to them. You should be able to get it done for probably 20 bucks or so, and have them do keyword research for you so you know what keyword phrases that you're targeting. figure out who your audience is. When you run a Facebook ad campaign or Google ad campaign, any ad campaign, pay-per-click, you're going to be able to target your audience, and you want to really get deep in that. In Facebook, you know, of course, the demographics are going to be location, geographical. You'll be able to choose zip codes. They can be age, they can be gender. Facebook, you can dig down into interests. If there are specific interest groups that you're looking for, you can target people who follow specific pages. If you're targeting Cocoa Beach, for example, there are groups. There's Wake Up Cocoa Beach, and there's several anyway. And so you can target all of those things, and I highly recommend that you get very laser focused in your targeting. That is probably the best thing that you can do to have a successful campaign, is target your audience. Then of course you have to determine your budget and what kind of ad. So when I say what kind of ad, that means, is it a photo ad? Is it a video ad? Is it just a text-based ad? Is it a display ad? You know, there are several different types of ad. I have found for my clients, video ads tend to be the most successful in Facebook. And when I say Facebook ads, that's a little misleading, because Facebook owns Instagram. So when you run an ad campaign on Facebook, you're also running an ad campaign on Instagram, unless you choose not to. They have a section that allows you to check the boxes on what type of ads that you're running. And most of the time, to be honest, I let them determine that, because I have good results that way. But you can decide to run just an Instagram ad, or, you know, just a newsfeed ad, or just a marketplace ad. I do personally look at real estate ads in marketplace. I also look at marketplace real estate listings that are not ads. Those are free. And if you're not using that platform, I recommend that you do. How big the reach is, I don't know, but if you get one buyer or one seller out of it, it's worth the time to do it. I would keep an ad in marketplace, a free ad in marketplace, all the time. So prepare. Now this is important, and I debated on where to put this in this list. So this list is not necessarily in order. Is your website ready to capture leads? I'm going to be very frank and honest with you all for just one moment. The real estate industry as a whole, surprisingly to me, because there are so many marketing agencies and gurus out there that are targeting you guys. But when I look at listings, real estate listings, and realtors' Facebook pages, and the way that they put the information out there, most of them are not doing a great job of giving the information that a buyer or a seller really needs to get where you want them to go. Now, I'm not saying that anyone in this room right now falls in that category. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying overall, I'm surprised when I look. For example, in the marketplace, the free listings in the marketplace, I can't tell you how many times I have looked at a listing in that marketplace that did not allow me to see the address of the property. I don't get that. I don't understand that. And so consequently, I abandoned that listing and moved on. What if I was the buyer that they were looking for, and I couldn't even tell where the property was? So the details are very, very important. And then I have gone to real estate websites that were not ready to capture me, to pull me in to have a conversation with them. Most of you are using platforms, I think, that are built for your industry, that include good calls to action and lead forms and that sort of thing. Is that right? Yes or no? Instead of a landing page, I use Zapier to capture Facebook ad leads, especially to offer something of value of like an ebook. That's very good, Marty. I'm glad to hear that you do that. And do you feel, let me ask you this though, do you feel good about the results that you get at offering an ebook and capturing that information from people who visit your Zapier after that? In general, yes. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. I appreciate that input. Yeah, there are, you know, outside the box is kind of my thing. I love people who think outside of the box, and I love outside of the box solutions. Yeah, so it's hard to determine how much information to give without asking for the looker's information. That is absolutely correct, Val, and that's a slippery slope because as a consumer, I get really frustrated when I go to a real estate site that requires that I put my information in before I can view listings. It's a real pet peeve of mine. But that's me. That's not necessary. I'm not representative of the entire population by any means, and I know that. But it aggravates the devil out of me. That being said, I am currently a renter, and like I said, I'm looking at properties. How many listings do you think you should look at before entering? I don't want to enter my information at all to look at listings personally. Now, there again, I'm not telling you that I represent everybody. And there's caveat to that. Let me tell you. So like I said, I'm a renter. I moved here in 2017. I rented a place for 6 months while I looked to see where I wanted to be. And so I literally look at rental properties every day, even though I'm not planning to move anytime soon. And I look at listings, sale listings also. Sometime in the first 6 months that I was here, I was out on the web looking at listings, and I landed on a real estate site, and they aggravated me because so many of them required you put your information in. And one of them got me. One of them got me, and I put my information in. And now I get an email from them every single day. And this is interesting. I want you to listen to what I'm about to say, because from a consumer perspective, it might be interesting to you. It might not be anything new, but I think about it whenever I look at it. So I look at their rental listings every day. They send me an email that says, you know, 3 new listings, 1 price change. And I go in every morning, it's part of my routine, and I look at them for a couple of reasons. One, I'm always, you know, interested in what's out there. 2, I'm interested in what the market's doing. And I go through. However, so they got me, right? They have me in their contact list, and they send me an email every day. They're not doing anything really to build a relationship with me, because what I do, I understand they're pulling in the MLS listings. And so it's everybody's, it's all of your listings. If you've got a listing, a rental listing or sale listing out there, I've probably seen it if it's out here in my area. And if I decide to look at one, at the bottom of that listing, the way their website pulls it in, it tells me who the listing company is. I'm going to go to that company. I'm not going to go to the agent for the company I'm registered with. I'm going to go to the company that's listed that actually has the listing. I'm going to go right to the horse's mouth. And I'll tell you why. Because that company, even though they got my information, they have not built a relationship with me. Now, am I your demographic? I don't know. Am I your ideal customer? I don't know. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But what I'm telling you is, if you're not building a relationship some kind of way, if you're not building a relationship, it doesn't really matter whether you're collecting people's information in order to let them look at listings or not. Do you feel me? Do you agree? You don't have to agree. Yes or no, you agree. If you're not building a relationship, then it doesn't really matter. Yes. And you don't have to agree with me. I don't mind if you say, no, I don't agree. Okay, yes, cool. Okay, so get off my soapbox there, run down that rabbit hole. Run a test. Now, I'm going to tell you that I have done this over and over and over and over and over again. First thing I'm going to tell you is, and this is low, In my opinion, this is low. And if you can't do this, then you shouldn't be doing pay-per-click ads at all. Minimum $20 a day. If you invest less than $20 a day, your ad will get not good visibility, period. That's just all there is to it. I've tested it, and that's the bare minimum, $20 a day. If you can do $50 a day, great, do that. But bare minimum to run a test, I wouldn't do more than $50 a day. I like 20, it feels good. I'm throwing 140 bucks at a campaign to see what it'll do for me. I'm willing to lose 140 bucks. I'll do that, you know, on a nice weekend out. So nice day out. $20 a day for 7 days. So that's what I would do with your test campaign. Monitor and adjust. This is the important part, and this is where that time investment came in. So earlier I asked you, are you willing to invest time and money in a pay-per-click campaign to see if you can get results? Time is going to be your biggest investment. So you need to watch the results for 48 hours. So when you start running that campaign, they're going to have to approve it, and then you're going to need to watch it. And you want to adjust if you haven't had any movement. And when I say any movement, you want to look at engagement. Are people clicking on it? I run lead campaigns where people actually, you know, fill in their information and say, here, contact me. That's what I like. That's what I prefer, because I like measurable things. There's that branding thing too, but I like measurable things. So if I'm not seeing in the first 48 hours, I'm looking at the number of impressions, how many times it's actually been pushed out there and is hitting somebody's feed. If I'm not seeing impressions, a good number of impressions, then the budget's too low. Okay, write that down. If you're not seeing a good number of impressions, then your budget's too low. You need to increase your budget a little bit. Then the next thing is engagement. Clicks, likes, preferably leads. People have submitted their information. If you're not seeing anything in engagement, something's wrong. And you need to adjust. Don't adjust too soon. Wait at least 48 hours. Maybe 2 days, maybe even 3 days. You can give it 3 days. If it's not doing anything, watch it closer. It's a lot like gambling. You know, pay-per-click ads are like going to the casino, and you just have to kind of wait and see what happens. So then, you know, I've got my tip down here is pay-per-click ads require a lot of planning and trial and error. So you're learning with your first campaign what works and what doesn't. It goes back to what's your KPI, what's your key performance indicators, what do you want to get out of this campaign? I cannot drive that point home more. What do you want out of the campaign? And that answer is probably going to be, hopefully it's going to be different from everybody. I hope that your first reaction is to say, sell more homes or list more homes, because that's almost too basic. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to do, but you got to dig in a little bit deeper than that. And, you know, what do you want to convey? You know, what kind of people do you want to touch? What kind of relationships do you want to build? You know, so it's deeper than that. You're not going to just go from point A to point Z. You know, there's in the middle there. So you need to really think about that. So how do you monitor an ad? And this is a deep subject. So like I said, you watch impressions versus clicks. If they're low, you might need to change your audience, your ad content, or your budget. Check the quality of leads. Now, if you're getting leads, then you need to contact them as quickly as possible, see if they're quality leads. I would watch that for about 4 days. So, you know, Alex mentioned earlier that the intent was not as good in Facebook ads as it is in Google ads. And that's a very good point. If you're getting crappy leads, you don't want to be paying for that. You know, goes back to what's your purpose? What's your intent? What is the intent for this pay-per-click ad? Quality leads from Facebook, is that going to happen in your industry? I'm not convinced that it will. Building relationships, being visible, advertiser pairs, I am convinced of that. Now more than ever, I believe that you need to be visible, and you can do that on Facebook. Run A/B test. Now this is getting a little bit deeper. How many of you are familiar with the concept of A/B testing? Yes or no? Yes, you're familiar with A/B test. No, you're not familiar with A/B test. I'm just curious about that. How many of you are familiar with A/B testing? Alex, I knew you would be. No, no, no. Yes. Okay, so A/B testing is a really good way to yes, Barbara's familiar, very good. A/B testing is a really good way to see that trial and error. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. We're going to have to talk now because I don't want to debate with you. We're on the same page. I appreciate your input so much. It's great. So A/B testing is a really good way to trial and error that thing. You know, it's something I don't recommend that you do it in your first campaign. You've got enough to think about and enough to worry about without having to worry about A/B testing. And there are several ways to do A/B testing. So you can run the same ad for different demographics and see how they perform, you know, and look at the impressions and the clicks and the leads, you know, and all of the results that come with it. And what you're doing with A/B testing is you're educating yourself. You're educating yourself about what works and what doesn't work. So much like every subject that we have talked about in the last 5 classes, or last 4 in this class, this is a long game. You know, marketing and advertising is not an immediate gratification kind of thing, unfortunately, because I am an immediate gratification kind of girl. So it's a little bit weird that I'm in this business, because it's definitely a long game and a lot of trial and error. Now, one thing I do want to say when you run A/B tests, and this is a mistake that I have made, and please don't make it. I made it for you, so don't make this mistake. If you do an A/B test, double your budget. So the mistake I made, I mentioned that campaign that we had great results. We got 122 leads on that campaign, and I was very, very happy. However, the quality of those leads did not make me as happy. They were okay, but they weren't what I wanted them to be. So we took that very same ad and we changed the audience. Ran the same ad, but I ran it on 2 different audiences because after looking at it and analyzing it, we decided that the reason that our ads the leads were not quality is because we were talking to the wrong people. So we ran it again, ran an A/B test, but I split the budget. We ran the same budget, but I just split it between the 2 ads. And they both performed terrible, which was odd. And I knew it was budget because I ran the very same ad with the very same audience that had just gotten me 122 leads in the previous 7 days. And in the next 7 days, it only got me 30 leads. And so the only thing that was different was the budget. It had half the budget that it had in the previous 7 days. So if I did that again, I would have just doubled the budget and run the same ad, you know, differently. So does that make sense to everybody? Yes or no? Does that make sense? Yes, it makes sense. Run an A/B test, double the budget. Yeah, it's fun. You know, who likes to go to the casino? Yes, you like to go to the casino. No, you don't. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm a yes and no, and it's okay to be a yes and no. So it depends. I don't gamble very often. I don't like to. I work hard for my money. I don't like to give it away, but I do enjoy it sometimes as entertainment. And I'm a thinker I'm very strategic about it, you know, and it's the same kind of thing with pay-per-click advertising, in my opinion. It's very, very much like playing a card game, you know, anything that has stakes involved. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you have to go into it with that understanding, or you'll get discouraged and you'll give it up. And it is absolutely something that can pay dividends. It absolutely. For those of you who have run pay-per-click campaigns, have you won? Yes or no? Have you won or feel like you got a win from a pay-per-click campaign, even if it was just one time? Yes or no? Yes, no, nobody's telling me. Okay, so another tip on this: all major platforms offer tutorials. You don't know? Okay, that's interesting, Marty. You don't know. I can help you with that. It's what I do. Measure results. Yes, Barbara, good job. And that's a win. I mean, if you feel like you've gotten anything at all out of it, that's a great thing, because it's easy to throw money in pay-per-click advertising and get no return. It's easy to do that. I can show you how to do that all day long. Alex, has advertiser consider a special ad category? That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Thank you, Alex, for bringing that up. Thus, limited targeting within the audience. What suggestions might have for targeting for strong real estate items? Do you allow Facebook to target based on who referrals most likely? I allow Facebook to target. Very good question. Very good point. So that's a slippery slope too. So all pay-per-click ad campaign outlets, and we're talking primarily about Google and Facebook right now, but all of them give you the opportunity to let them do a lot of things for you. So Alex says, do you allow Facebook to target based on who they feel is most likely to click? Yes. Facebook, I've had pretty good results with allowing them to handle the targeting. Google, I don't trust. And that comes from many years of experience working with them. They will tell you that the work that they do to support their advertisers is not commission based for them, that they're not just trying to use up your ad budget, whether you get results or not. But I call BS on that. I've had clients that Google has gone in and optimized the account for us. And when I go back in and look at like the keywords they're targeting and, you know, the way that they have modified our ads, it's bull. They're spending our budget and we're not getting the results that I want to get. So Google, I would say no, don't let them do your targeting. Facebook, yes, I would. But I would absolutely, on Facebook, seriously look at keeping your intent for Facebook advertising to be brand awareness and becoming a mainstay in your community, and make it more about you and who you are, as opposed to selling or listing a home. Ultimately, it will lead to selling and listing a home. So all the major platforms offer tutorials. Use them, use them, use them, use them. Watch their videos, read their stuff, depending on what kind of learner you are. I don't really like videos, but I do watch them. But look at it and understand that they make it very complicated. And I believe that there's a method to that madness. I believe they keep it as complicated as they possibly can so they can get as deep in your pocket as they can possibly get. Yes, Google pay-per-click can be a better driver of leads. Yes, I agree with that. But I also will say Google pay-per-click is much, much more competitive. The bidding processes, the keyword research processes, all of that is more complicated. I'm not saying you can't do it. It is more, it's more expensive, Barbara. That's absolutely right. I'm not saying you can't do it. You absolutely can do it. you've got to be willing to invest your time and your money. It's going to be definitely more money than you're going to invest in Facebook. And you've got to be, willing to really work hard on it. And the thing about it is that, one of the things that we talked about in the search engine optimization, or no, the Google My Business listing class that we did, I showed, I did a search for realtor near me. And when I did that, there was a realtor that was running an ad in the Google My Business listings, which is a great place to, if you're going to put some money into that. But don't go too far out of your area. We all want to expand our reach, and we all want to, get all the buyers and all the sellers from everywhere and pull them close to us. But, somebody told me yesterday, there's riches and niches. Riches and niches. How many times have people told you to find your niche and stick to it? And there's reason for that. So I ran a search, getting prepared to do a screenshot for my PowerPoint. And I did realtor near me. Well, I live in Cocoa Beach. And the first thing that popped up was an ad listing for a realtor in Rockledge. And I don't care if he's paying money to be the first thing I see or not. I'm not calling him because I asked for a realtor near me. So you have to really be in tune to that. You've got to be in tune to what the consumer is looking for. And if you're spending money in ads to show up for a keyword phrase that is not going to return anything to you, you're wasting money. So I can preach about this all day. I apologize for being so preachy. So to outsource or not to outsource, this is something I always try to talk about because it's one of the things that I specialize in is helping people determine what they can do in-house and what they need to outsource. And I help people outsource what needs to be outsourced. I am a huge proponent for having a certain level of, at the very bare minimum, awareness of the things that you put money into and the things that support your business. And advertising absolutely positively supports the longevity and the health of your business. So I think that it's very important that if you familiarize yourself with the process, you have to determine exactly how much that you want to spend, how much do you want to invest in pay-per-click advertising, and then try it yourself at least one time. And that is any platform, whether it's Google or Facebook, try it yourself. Use that little outline that I gave you. Don't break the bank, invest, $100, $200, maybe $300 in a week-long campaign. Get in there, do the things that I recommended. Use a tool or a service like WordStream or AdZuma. Marty mentioned one. Marty, will you put that back in the chat for us, please, so people can see that? AdWorks, I believe, is, which I have seen, I have not used. AdZuma, I actually was doing a little bit of research last night, pulling resources for you. AdWorks, there, it's in the chat. Marty put it in there. Look into that and use a tool. There are a lot of tools and services out there that make it easier to do what I'm talking about doing. And so yes, Rose, to answer your question, use tools. Definitely, I am a huge proponent for tools. I love tools. I use tools for everything I do. You can't be all things to all people. You can't do all things. When I was doing some research last night, AdZuma, write that down and go take a look. So that's a platform, and this is going to be the most valuable piece of information I give you in this whole class today, I think. We'll see. I've not used it. It's my first disclaimer. I have not used it yet, but I did sign up because last night when I was doing some research for you, I came across it, and I've looked at several different platforms, and I am not currently using one that does this, but it pulls your Google ads into their platform, and it uses artificial intelligence to go and look at the opportunities, is what they call it, to help you optimize your campaigns. That's a lot of buzzwords, right? You like that? I hate buzzwords. Anyway, they're offering their platform. It's usually $100 a month at our level, you know, if you're just running a campaign for yourself. And they've waived their fees until June. So you've got the month of May to use it. And they said till at least June. So definitely the month of May, use it. Go run a campaign, you know, and go sign up at Adzuma, watch some of their videos, their tutorials. I'm actually in the middle of their sign up tutorial. I didn't have time to go through it because I had other things to do to get ready for you today. And but I'm going to use it. I'm going to give it a try. So, you know, give it a shot. And then last but not least, outsource that. Outsource it. Don't do it. Not ask a lot of questions, familiarize yourself with it so you understand the basics of what's going on. Because unfortunately, in the marketing and advertising industry, there are a lot of snake oil salesmen out there. There are a lot of people who sell you on big promises. I talked to somebody just recently, it was somebody from this group, and I don't know if he's here or not, but he said, you know, I bought this program and it was supposed to do X, Y, Z for me. And I invested all this money, and all they did was give me a to-do list. You know, have you done that? Have you invested money in marketing or advertising solutions that at the end of the day, they didn't perform the way you thought they would, or they promised something that didn't deliver, or even worse, all you really bought was a to-do list? Have you done that? Have you invested in something that just didn't make you happy at the end of the day? Yes or no? In advertising and marketing. Because it's one of the reasons that it's one of the reasons that I don't really like to associate myself with the marketing industry. Marketing is what I do. You know, it's what I've done. I've done it for a long time. I don't really like to associate myself with the industry anymore because of that. And I think that we've done a poor job as marketers in building relationships with our people. So anyway, outsource, but educate yourself enough that you know what questions to ask, you know a little bit about, you know, what to look for. And, you know, then at the end of the day, do you want to run your own pay-per-click campaigns? And if you do, then do it. You know, by all means, do it. But most people are not going to want to. It's a lot of work. And if you're doing it right, then you're investing a lot of time on top of the money that you're investing. So that is my 15 cents. I gave you a little more than 2 cents on that. So thank you very much. Look at my time. Let's see, 11 o'clock. I'm so proud of myself. I've been working on trying to keep my time down. I want to ask one thing. I want to ask a favor from everyone here. I always mention to people that I'm kind of like the landscaper that has the bad yard, and I'm really working hard on trying to do a better job of applying all the things I recommend to you to my own presence and my own marketing advertising. I spend all my time working on everyone else's. So at the bottom of this screen is the link to my Facebook page. I really haven't nurtured it in the past. And I would love, if you have enjoyed this class or any of the others, for you to go to my Facebook page and give me a review. And just tell people what you think about my training, because training is what I really love doing. So thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you all.
I gotta say, I know that doesn't come easy to you, Janice, asking people to
no.
review your business and everything. You're very humble, and you're not a snake oil salesman. You know, you're real, and you keep people comfortable. So I think everyone appreciates that, and hopefully everyone will go and give our lovely Janice a Facebook review. And while you're at it, you can give us one too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you all so much. This series has been absolutely incredible. I think Jannis is going to do another giveaway, so stick around. What are we giving away this time, Jannis?
You know, I'm going to stick with that hour
I
consultation
think people are
because
happy with it.
yeah, well, it's just, it leaves them the opportunity to get what they really want. It's kind of like an Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
It's a
All right.
Jannis
So
gift
who's
card.
getting that 1 hour consultation with Jannis? Let's see. Jannis, pick a number between 1 and 22.
Number 9.
Number 9. You got a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, all of you. I really appreciate y'all being here. I enjoyed this so much. It's been fun. That's why we're going to do the bonus and extend it. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Barbara
I'm excited.
Nelson. Barbara Nelson.
Barbara Nelson. Yay.
Yay, Barbara. So Jannis's information is right there on the screen. Just, get her contact info. We'll send your contact info to Jannis as well. So you will get your free hour. And everyone else, we have plenty more education coming up. This is not the end. In addition to the bonus classes that we're going to have with Jannis on Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Facebook ads, and maybe a couple more things. We'll see how it goes. We might even have Jannis do long-term education with us, like doing 1 session per week or 1 every 2 weeks, something like that, to just have her on and let people ask her questions. We also have an attorney, a real estate attorney, Michael DeHovney. He is incredible. I mean, he is just a no-nonsense person. He will answer all your questions, and he's very gracious to give us his time, and he will be teaching a class next week on May 5th, and it's going to be on foreclosures. So definitely tune in for that. You'll get an email blast about that, so you can RSVP to me. And thanks again so much, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. Oh, and you will all be getting all 5 of the virtual recordings for this series. So all of the recordings from all 5 classes will be going out in an email, the links. It'll be a link for YouTube. So you'll get the link, and just, feel free to browse those. And while you're on YouTube, on our channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We have plenty of videos. We have Title Talk, where I interview some realtors and other industry professionals. We have Tracy and Mai's funny videos that we do. And then of course we have the virtual recordings and some other videos. So just check us out and subscribe. Thanks guys so much. We hope you have a great day and enjoy your Friday tomorrow.